Okay, we have 5 school districts now in Northern Virginia that will be stripped of federal funding because they've chosen to abide by woke gender ideology rather than federal law. Among them is Loudoun County Public Schools, which recently suspended 2 male teenage students for expressing discomfort with having a biological female in the boys' locker room. Incredible. Well, with me now to talk more about these developments is Victoria Cobb. She's the president of the Family Foundation of Virginia. Victoria, welcome back to Washington Watch. It's great to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's, if you would, go into more details about what happened to these two teenage students in Loudoun County.
Yes, our legal arm, the Founding Freedoms Law Center, is representing technically 3 boys who were all investigated under a charge of sexual harassment because a girl decided to go into the boys' locker room and cell phone record these boys complaining about the fact that there is a girl in their locker room. One of the boys was exonerated by the school district, and 2 have now been handed down a guilty punishment. They are expected to serve a suspension, 10-day suspension, and they have been given the assignment of working with the administration to create a plan of correction. So that's what's going on.
So why was the girl not charged with sexual harassment for going in there to start with, but then going in there and videoing the whole thing? Why is it that the victims are the ones who are charged here and the one who's really creating the problem gets to walk?
That's exactly right. The boys did actually file a Title IX against the girl for being in their private space and recording them. The school district dismissed that effort, and then we know that is a complete violation of a Loudoun County policy that one cannot videotape in a locker room. And to date, we know of no punishment for that activity that she did to start this whole mess.
Wow. Well, of course, this is not the first incident that we've seen, even on getting national attention from this particular school district. What kind of history did they have?
Well, this is just the thing. When you have bad policies, they create bad situations. So they have a terrible policy allowing biological boys and girls bathrooms and vice versa. And it started, we had the situation in this county where they actually had a sexual assault in a bathroom because a child used this policy to walk in and commit a crime. They also had a teacher that was fired, and we had to deal with that. That was a different organization that did the litigation there. But again, because he wasn't willing to lie that a boy can become a girl and vice versa. But this idea that people stick to the truth, that they speak out, and that the county tries to come against them is just tragic. And parents are going to protect their kids in private spaces. They're going to defend these boys' rights to be in a locker room without a girl.
Absolutely. It's interesting, too, and I'd like for you to go into this with me if you can. While all this story was breaking, the U.S. Department of Education has now announced actions that it's coming against Loudoun County Public Schools and 4 other schools, for that matter, in Northern Virginia. Can you kind of lay out for us the details on that?
Yeah, we've got 5 counties in Virginia. This one, Loudoun County, is one of them, who are all refusing to comply with President Trump's understanding an executive order of how Title IX should be interpreted. And that would require them in this county to undo this 80-40 policy that they have, this idea that boys can be in girls' bathrooms and vice versa. And so they refuse to do that. And so it has come to the point where the Department of Education is saying they're likely to revoke federal funds into these school districts. And even knowing that, the school districts are saying, thanks, but no thanks. Now, how Loudoun County has $100 million to spare and they can just sort of, casually say we're not interested, I have no idea. Because, normally we hear the case where school districts are just pleading that they need more money. But apparently they are more wed to the woke ideology and to a false reality than they are to ensuring that kids get the proper education and receive the funds that the district needs.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, that they are married to this whole woke ideology in spite of federal law and so forth going against it. What does this tell you about, certainly with these 4 school districts, but even what we're seeing culturally a willingness to just in your face violate the law.
It really is remarkable. And I think the average American is stunned that we have gotten to the point where this delusion of transgenderism, that we can allow people to pretend that they are a sex that is not the biological sex that they were given by God. The fact that this delusion has gotten to the point, and that we have entire school districts held hostage to this idea, and that they are willing to literally suspend children, fire teachers, and now reject federal funds. And everyone knows it's not just a Loudoun County problem. Many people experience this in their counties all across the country. And parents know it's not just these boys getting suspended. If it can happen to these boys, it can happen to their children. And so there really is a tide turning. Parents are finally coming out and saying, look, we're not willing to abide this. And we are seeing movement on this issue.
Well, Victoria Cobb, thank you for being one of those voices that is being loud and clear. President of the Family Foundation of Virginia, Victoria, thank you so much for joining us today on Washington Watch.
Thanks for having me.